Welcome to Game of Books with Cathi in South Dakota.
That's me, and Christie in South Florida.
That's me. We're two newbie writers sharing our take on wine, food, and mystery books.
And the authors who write them. Join us for the fun. Hi, Christie, and all of you mysterious foodies out there. We're back
Cathi.
after... Hey! We're back after another wonderful Corks and Conversation. That was so great. We talked to Carla Norton last week.
Yeah. She was really interesting.
She was so interesting and so fun to talk to.
Yes. I mean, she has such a fascinating writing career.
Yeah.
You know, she went from editing to true crime to thrillers.
And now onto a spy novel that she's working on. That was
really
impressed
that's
by
going to be
that.
interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to the podcast yet, you really need to. It was Corks and Conversation with Carla Norton, episode... Was it 9?
I think it was Corks and Conversation number 9. Yeah.
9. So that's pretty great.
We're almost to double digits.
I know. And this podcast is number 22 for our traditional podcast. So that's pretty great.
I know. And yeah, we'll be wrapping up season 1 of Game of Books pretty soon. So during the off weeks of this summer, the listeners out there, those mysterious foodies, can go back and listen to some of our older episodes if they missed any.
Right, because by then we'll have well into the 30s for them, so I'll keep people busy all summer. I am going to really obviously miss our weekly podcasting sessions, but between our seasons. I know, but I'm really excited to plan season 2. It's going to be killer season 2.
All right. Killer season 2. I love that.
Love it. Yeah.
Yep. Well, time flies, and we've got so many plans this summer that, we'll be back to recording before we know it.
Yeah, and a break always makes you more fresh, so that will be great.
Yeah,
and there's
exactly.
And things are never dull, let's be honest. So,
right.
Anyway, let's get to the wine to spice up our dialogue today.
Okay, so, actually, today I think it would be more appropriate, instead of saying to spice it, we'll say to sweeten up our dialogue, because today we are drinking a sweet Moscato wine from Italy called Seven Daughters. And
I love the label. I love
this
label.
Yes, it is. It's a very pretty, very clean label. I know that you like that look too. And I know you do. And I'm wondering, okay, do you want to guess the flavors this week again?
Are you really going to do this to me again?
I'm asking you, but you could try. I mean,
I'll try.
Yeah,
okay, so okay. And I'm not normally a Moscato drinker, so I think I'm going to be really, really bad at this. But okay,
I know. I'm going to try it too at the same time.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it has bubbles.
That surprised me a little bit.
I know, it's a little effervescent.
I know it surprised you. Okay, so now I have to reassess. I didn't realize we had a bubbly one. Okay.
Well, it's not a lie. It's just like, well, in the description it does say this effervescent, bright white wine. So, but I'm not going to tell you the flavors. It says you have to tell me. Okay,
so I'm gonna. This might be kind of a wimpy guess because a lot of whites will have this, but I'm going to say citrus.
That
like
was
a
pretty
lemony
wimpy.
Or something. Was that
okay?
Wimpy? Oh no!
I don't even taste a single lemon in there. It's so sweet. All right, wow. I'm going to tell you. It's a sweet floral aroma. So let's see. It smells floral with peach and honey notes.
Oh. So I haven't learned anything over these last 30-some podcasts.
Now when you taste it, though, doesn't it taste peachy now? Just peachy?
The peachy, I think the smell, I mean, it's very florally, has a fragrance to it when you bring it up, to drink. And that's,
you know what? This is like, this seems like a really nice wine for out by the pool,
Yes,
in the middle of the day. Isn't it kind of fun? I think it's kind of fun.
It is a fun drink.
And it has, it's lower alcohol content, believe it or not, than regular wine.
Good.
Yeah, so that's always good. I mean, the bubbles probably make it a little.
Is that a Moscato thing, or is that just this particular?
I don't know. Good question. But this is 7%. So I'm assuming that maybe, the way 7%. And, so I think you could sip it by the pool and not worry too much, in the middle of the day.
I would love to do that, especially with you down in Florida. I have to tell you, I was going to mention this, and I didn't bring any information with me now, but I saw an advertisement yesterday for speaking of alcohol content, for a wine water where there's no alcohol really in it, but it has the flavoring of wine. And so it's very, very low calorie.
Oh my gosh. That's so interesting.
Well, I thought it was too. I thought, because I really do enjoy the taste of wine. But if you didn't, I don't know, if it's kind of like having a non-alcoholic beer, I suppose.
Right.
If you want the taste,
I would think that would just be grape juice, but also if it's water, then maybe it's low calorie. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. Interesting.
Oh, that's awesome. That's great. Well, I like this little drink of Moscato. I think it's nice.
Yeah. Anyway,
so tastes very peachy.
Yes. So, I'm going to be in the heat, which I understand South Dakota is pretty warm today, but I will be in the heat this summer of South Florida.
Yeah, we're not the same heat as you guys. I mean, it gets hot and humid here, but it's not. If we get a break, at night it cools, and you guys are just in a whole different level.
So if you get up in the morning, yeah. So, but I understand that you are going to be for several weeks at your family ranch, and from what you've told me about this place, it's very remote, Cathi.
It is very remote.
And so I was thinking, what's the longest amount of time you've stayed there before? Do you know?
On the ranch without leaving the ranch?
Yeah. Just...
maybe 3 or 4 days, without going to... So there is Rapid City, which is a nicely sized city, is 30
I've heard of it.
Yes. Yeah. It's our second biggest city in South Dakota. I don't know the population exactly. It's probably over 100,000. So it has all the amenities that you would need, but it's a little bit of a jaunt. Maybe once you get down the very, very lengthy driveway to the highway, then just a few miles away is a very, very small town of just a couple hundred people. And so that they have a nice little gas station and grocery store there. So, but
interesting. Yes. I don't know how you're pretty active. In where you live now, it's a small town, but you guys have, big town stuff like massages, yoga studios, wine stores.
All the necessities.
Yeah.
Well,
what are you going to do out there? Oh my gosh.
I will be doing a lot of yoga on the ranch myself. I'm very excited about that. But I am going to take care of my mother-in-law, and so that's my main project, of course, and I'm looking forward to that time with her. And I am really, I am schlepping out my office work with me, but I am hoping to get a lot of writing done. I'm actually hoping to really do some editing on my work, so we'll see.
It'll be like a little bit of a writer's retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
around taking care of the ranch. So that will be interesting. My husband reminded me last night that I'll be doing the mowing while I'm there on her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on my mother-in-law's initial yard. Not the whole 8,000 acres, just her initial yard.
Okay.
But
it's
the back,
the endless mowing.
Yeah, you could never finish. But the back, that's called the cattle. The cattle take care of that. But the back end of the house has this very steep hill, and I have never mowed that, and I'm terrified to do it.
Oh, so. No. You just tell your husband he has to come on the weekends and mow.
That's probably a good idea.
I could just see, because what happens if you injure yourself? You can do that. Like the lawnmower falls back on you. You're a small person.
help me, I've fallen, and I'm there to take care of my mother-in-law.
Where's the nearest hospital? I mean, it's probably, 30 miles away, right?
It's an airlift situation, I imagine.
Oh my goodness.
We'll see.
That's kind of neat. It's kind of neat, but I can't imagine you handling it as well.
Thank you.
You would be like, because you're just so active, you're like, you have every minute booked of your day, and then all of a sudden it's going to be like, okay, you're going to be asking your mother-in-law every 5 minutes, can I make you something else?
No, I'm looking forward to reading and writing and being with her and trying, but it is a really special place. So I'm looking at it as a very rare opportunity. So
you can take lots of pictures.
I will take lots of pictures. I will. I'll be snapping photos each morning with my coffee and my yoga mat, and I'll make you very jealous soon. You'll learn to.
I know. Well, I'm like, I'm already getting up. What are the flights to Rapid City? So
there really aren't many. It's pretty hard to get there. Anyway, okay, so let's have another sip of this Seven Daughters Moscato. Mm-hmm. And get into this week's mystery, cleaning the gold.
Yeah, bubbly on my tongue. Yes. Let's talk about cleaning the gold, and it's written by two great authors. It's a collaboration, which we always find very interesting.
Oh, for sure. We have discussed many collaborations, and it's fascinating. So this is I'm very excited about this because these are two of my favorite authors. Lee Child, who writes the Jack Reacher thrillers, right? Everyone knows him quite well for those.
Yes,
I think so. I looked it up again today, and the rumor that they have listed on Amazon is that one of his novels is sold every 9 seconds.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
And I'm thinking Amazon would have some pretty decent statistics on that. I mean, this isn't someone just making this up, Yeah, isn't that amazing? Yeah. So, he has 24 Jack Reacher novels to date published. And his first one was in 1997, and since then, he's literally published one every single year.
Wow.
There's been a couple movies made, if people didn't know. The star in them was Tom Cruise, and there was some criticism of that given his stature, because Jack Reacher, the character, is a very tall military cop, like a 6'5", huge guy. And so... Yeah.
I mean, this book was describing him, because I hadn't read... I don't think I'd read any of the Jack Reacher books. I hate to say it, but I don't think, Lee Child would mind too much. But
why do you up it to every 8 seconds?
I know, yeah. But the other character in the book, Karin Slaughter's character, is also a large guy, and he kept describing Jack Reacher as like a giant, like. Yeah. So I was like, how big is this guy? Like his hands, were described like, mitts and things. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I think they're going to have a new actor play him in some future ones. I think that's the rumor anyway. I don't know.
Yeah, like a Netflix kind of a thing instead of like big films. I think instead of
is that what it is?
I think so, but I might be wrong. So
because I thought I saw like on social media, people were guessing on who they thought a good character, an actor would be to play him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So anyway, so it's a Lee Child, and the other writer is another favorite, Karin Slaughter, who is a fantastic writer of thrillers. She is no slouch. I mean, look, I know Lee Child is impressive, but she has 35 million copies of her novels in print.
Wow.
I know. She has written 18 novels. She has a couple series and then a couple standalones. And her standalones, actually, I think 3 of 4 of them, are currently in development. I'm not sure if it's with the producer or the producing team or what, but it's the same producing team who did Gone Girl and who did Big Little Lies. Are you a Big Little Lies watcher? I love that.
Yeah, it's about, and the new season's about to come out.
I know, I can't wait.
with Meryl
We'll
Streep.
have to podcast about it in
or
season
did it
2.
already come
Killer
out?
season
I don't
2.
know.
No, it's next week, I think.
Oh, okay.
Something that I will not be watching at the ranch, I bet. But anyway, streaming is not good out there. But so
You'll
yeah,
get
so
more
Karen's
writing
daughter is
time.
amazing. I know, right? Exactly. That'll be perfect. So she's great, and she has so our lead child just has the main Jack Reacher series. She has a couple different series that offshoot each other. But this short story features Trent. His name just fell out of my head. Will Trent. Will Trent. Mm-hmm. And he is he works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, the GBI, kind of similar to the FBI. I thought that was very interesting.
Yes.
And so, yeah. So anyway, and he's a very well-known character too. He's, doesn't get along very well, interestingly, with a lot of his coworkers. That's
really?
my kind of impression. Yeah, his character doesn't. He's a really good agent, clears tons of cases, has dyslexia.
In this book, he comes across as very straight arrow, kind of.
Yeah, doesn't he?
Not outside the lines type.
Yeah. So here's the premise, right? Should we give the? But we'll give nothing away because it's so good. No, and it's a short story, so it's a really quick read, and it's just a fun read, don't you think?
But it's I mean, I think of a short story as shorter than that, but it's considered probably a short story because it's under 100 pages.
Yeah, maybe it's a novella, I would say. But so
I'll go with that.
Will Trent, yeah, thank you. I'm so glad. Will Trent goes undercover at Fort Knox. Yes. So he normally works for the Georgia Bureau of Investigations, but he is investigating a cold case. And so he decides he's found the evidence. He's going undercover at Fort Knox, which I love the background of Fort Knox. Didn't you? I thought that was so interesting. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, how do they know? I guess they must give tours or something.
I actually read that Karin Slaughter had mentioned how helpful they are there for writers. So good. That was interesting. Yeah. And then, but Jack Reacher also happens to be in Fort Knox with his own kind of mission. He thinks there's a criminal ring in there. But at the same time, Will Trent is undercover. He's actually investigating Jack Reacher. He thinks Jack Reacher is his killer. So, and they end up uncovering. I know, but it's so great how they overlay it. So, anyway, I thought a great
I know. You would think that these two, well-known people would know each other, but they're only well-known to the readers, I guess.
Right.
You're like, what do you mean you don't know Jack Reacher? There's a bunch of movies about him.
So here's what I wanted to ask you about. Here's one of the things that struck me was Will Trent is there undercover, right? Like he completely has a new identity as he goes in. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah. And there are a lot of undercover agents, and we read one from Brad Parks, undercover civilians, in a lot of thrillers, right? That concept of going undercover and having to leave everything behind, I think is a really interesting premise. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting, of course. Yeah, I think it adds a whole nother layer of, thriller because, he's worried about getting outed and...
Right.
That,
and you have to the benefit of being a cop, right, is you have backup and you have your credentials, and it allows you certain privileges to, arrest people and shoot people if necessary. But when you're undercover, all that's gone. And so I just thought, that must be why we like these people that go undercover, because they have to take all those protections away. I thought that was
Yeah, I mean, I did think it was interesting because I was trying to figure out in the beginning, because I think in the beginning, I don't know if they say right away that Will Trent is a cop. You kind of know. I didn't understand exactly what, how he was getting in there undercover. Because I was like, because he was seriously worried about being exposed and getting shot by, the guards. And I'm like, well, can't they tell them? Because he wasn't going to investigate them, but I guess it was just too risky to tell anybody. Plus, I don't really know if he had the clout with the GBI to get in there. I don't know. It was very complicated, but it made it scary.
It did make it scary. And then there's Jack Reacher's character who doesn't really give a hoot about, he's, I mean, he's hurting people, let's say, on occasion.
I know, yeah.
And
so, yeah, I was confused.
Poor undercover Will Trent is like, this is a problem.
We're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. And do you remember there's a scene where Jack Reacher mentions that there's this Supreme Court case that allows for imperfect necessity, it's called, where it's okay to commit a smaller crime to stop a bigger one. And he kind of uses that as his defense to Will, to, say, like, it's okay if we have to beat these guys up or worse. And
how often is that really used in defense?
Oh, I think it's rare.
Okay.
I think it's rare, and I don't know much more about it other than it's a defense once you've been charged. I mean, it's not a get out of jail, like you're not going to get charged kind of defense, I believe. Oh. I'm quoting.
Darn, I was getting all kinds of ideas.
Your ideas of I'm going to do this smaller crime to prevent bigger ones.
Yeah,
you're gonna become a victim.
Well, that's what I'll say. Oh, look, I was just trying to prevent this bigger crime.
I think that's called being a vigilante.
I know.
Mostly illegal, I think.
Okay.
But
right.
Anyway, I just
lawyer.
thought it was interesting. Blah, blah, blah. Not really. Not for a long time. But I just thought it was so interesting that we keep running into, in these thrillers that we're reading, people who are undercover. And there must be something, kind of enticing about that.
I know.
So, speaking of enticing, I want to know why you chose the Moscato today.
All right. Well, as you know, this story did not have very much food or wine.
They weren't
drinking.
Stopping to enjoy a meal, put it that way.
No. And it was funny because I remember earlier you did a Jack Reacher book. And you mentioned the fact that he didn't eat. He mentions it even in this, that, it's just a necessity to keep going. Whereas Will Trent, on the other hand, and he pointed out, Will Trent must have been hungry once in his life because he had a rather hearty appetite, but we didn't really see it, because there was so much going on.
Yeah. I remember that comment.
Yeah. Except one time when he was like, he was going through, what do you call that? It's not ransacking. He was searching the office, remember? I know. I'm like, yes. God, I don't know where my words are going.
You went for the really extreme
It's from the
Moscato. I think you're still stuck in the smaller crime for the bigger crime.
I know, right? So anyway, he was searching and he came across some Skittles and ate them. While he's searching, which I thought was pretty funny. It was like, okay, let's just have a few bites of Skittles while we're searching, Well,
and it's a funny thing to imagine because they're so colorful and they're loud.
I know. And he's like, okay, I'm going to eat some Skittles while I'm looking, and meanwhile he's worried somebody's going to run in on him. Right. Anyway, so I was like, okay, well, that's the only food. So that's going to be my food for today. And so when I was looking up what wine goes with Skittles.
And what wine does go with Skittles?
Well, apparently Moscato does. Because I found this Skittles infused wine cocktail.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Oh my gosh, you got to hear this. I mean, this was like on HGTV or something. They're one of their on the website or something. And it what you do is you take white wine, which they used Moscato, and what you do is you separate your Skittles by color. Okay.
Obviously. I mean, you have to.
Yes, of course. Or otherwise it would be like some kind of brown wine, right? So, and so then what you do is you, for like, if you had one of those small, like 6-ounce bottles of Moscato, which by the way, this Moscato is a screw top.
Yes.
And I just have to tell you, if you go on the website for Seven Daughters, they have like some funny little quotes. And one, like, for instance, here's one. Your cat has more followers than you. That's screwed up. And then they write underneath it, unscrew it. So
that's hilarious.
I know. I thought that was good. I was like going, okay, is that a sign that my cat has more followers than me? But anyway, so I decided to unscrew it. But anyway, so you put five Skittles per ounce. So it's like a little 6 ounce. So you put 30 Skittles in the little thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So if you have to, you might have to drink a little bit of it to have enough room for the Skittles. But anyway, so then you let it sit you put the lid on, you let it sit for 1 to 2 days until the candy, it dissolves. And you can shake it once in a while.
Oh, sure.
And then you have to filter off with a tea towel, like strain the wine into a glass 3 times to get rid of a layer of white film. And it does not say what that is, and I'm not sure what it is, but it forms on the top of the wine.
Okay, you've totally lost me. There's no way I would do this. Did you do this?
Yeah. So no, I didn't. But I just opened the Moscato now, but I was like, but actually, when you think about it, so you filter off the white film, which I don't know what that is. It must be extra sugar or something. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then you have a bottle of wine, the color of whatever Skittles. They were.
That's cute.
So it's like bright colors. Yeah. So it's like great for like party favors or something like that too. Or you can just make a cocktail with it. Like you can add ice and sparkling water and, have this fun looking cocktail. I don't know if I'll ever try it. But
I don't know if I will either, but it sounds like it could have its place.
Yeah.
In a particular moment.
Yeah. Like I don't know. I don't know. Bridal shower or something. Little bottles of Skittle wine or something. But, yeah. But Skittles are like they're the second most popular candy in the whole U.S.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. And they're the most popular among children in North America.
Skittles?
Yes.
Okay, do you like Skittles?
No. I mean, I would, they're okay.
Sorry, not to offend
like
anyone
Skittles?
who likes Skittles. I'm not a fan.
Connor likes Skittles. I know. Well, you know what? I'm a chocolate girl, and I'm not really a candy girl unless it has chocolate. So that's why I'm like, if somebody gave me a Skittles, it's not going to gag me. I'm going to eat it, but it's not what I'm going to gravitate for. Yeah.
If you're Will Trent and you're ransacking in your words in office, you're going to have some Skittles.
Yeah. Yeah. So the taste of the rainbow is what, that's their slogan that they started in 1994. And actually they are known to be one of the forefront on social media when it comes to candies, I guess, because they jumped on in like 2009. Oh. And I have a couple of very interesting. Okay. So every day Skittles make 200 million of its original variety.
Oh my gosh.
200 million of them. When you look at how many that makes over the course of a year, it's enough Skittles to reach from Earth to the moon.
You could stack the Lee Child and the Karin Slaughter novels against that, and they'd probably be pretty close.
Yeah. Isn't that appropriate? We've got the Skittles of novels with the Skittles.
We do. Or Skittles is the Lee Child and Karin Slaughter novels of the candy world. Let's say it that way.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. So let's have a drink of our Moscato here now. Okay. Mine is Sans Skittles.
Very good. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows who made them, by the way. Who originally made them? Some British guy might have done them. Yeah, they first came from Britain.
For that? Wow.
I know.
There's came from Britain? Lee Child.
What?
No, Lee Child is English.
Oh, we've got so many
Lee
Skittle
Child
connections.
Made the Skittles. I know, it's scaring me.
He could have.
You never know.
He's just promoting his product. His product placement.
Oh my gosh. We need to get a hold of him and tell him he needs Skittles in his every novel now.
Yeah.
Okay, should we move on to the next segment?
Sure.
Your favorite and mine?
Yes, I am dying to hear what your writer's perspective is for this week.
Well, I just had to stick with our fabulously successful and wonderful writers. So I found this interesting interview with Karin Slaughter about her collaboration with Lee Child on this short story. And yeah, it's a really interesting read. It has a fantastic title that people could look up if they want to. I probably it's in the bigthrill.org, and it's from April of 2019. And
okay, you're going to put a link on our website?
Yes, I am. It's a pretty great quote from Karin Slaughter about what she did to Lee Child. So anyway, it's pretty good.
Oh,
anyway,
but you're just going to tease us with it. We have to look it up.
I am going to tease you. You're going to have to get on our blog and find it.
Okay.
So
all right.
Anyhow, Karin. So the question was, of course, how did this get going? How did it, blah blah blah. And it took them 5 years to get this thing written. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, she said she had this. There's also a very interesting story in this article about. She kind of throws some shade against another very, very famous author, tongue in cheek, I can tell. But she kind of mentions that Brad Meltzer might be a demon, jokingly. But she had been watching something Brad Meltzer was doing on TV about the location of their story. And so, she couldn't get it out of her brain. And so that's why she said that. Anyhow, so Fort Knox kind of got planted there. But she said, they wanted to make sure that each of their characters could be their own characters and still meld together, because she said, Lee and I are very certain about the voices of our characters, Will Trent and Jack Reacher. And so she said that to make sure that the story gave them each both of their own lanes, so they could each shine in their own ways. And I thought, how these are really good examples of characters with their own voice. I mean, that's what she said. They have such a clear voice. And so I was curious from you what your techniques or ideas are about creating a distinct voice for your characters. Because you have, in your current work, you have a very distinct couple of characters that I think definitely have their own voice.
It's interesting, and I don't, I've been trying to learn a lot about voice, and it's such a hard thing to really, I don't know, put into words. I feel like you just have to have a really good sense of that character. And see them, different than everybody else, It's hard to say, because it's like, I don't feel like it's something that, I mean, I might actually, say, okay, yeah, what would this character do? What would this, when I'm doing it? But, and I've always thought that, you should be able to tell in dialogue too, different characters.
Right. If you just see the dialogue, you should know, in theory, which character it is without being told.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, not for every basic, pick this up, here's this, everything. Right. But in general, like, I always would think, okay, I would think of a certain maybe vocal tick that a person would have, or a word that they used a lot. And then if it was something that came from me, I'd just realize, hey, this, every character's not going to say this same thing. I'm just going to make this one character be the one that says, that says, all the time, or,
Right. Well, and I think dialogue covers so much of it, because you can, like you say, word usage, or, their, word pattern, if they're using slang or they're using, dialect. And I thought of one of your characters right away, because I think you did a really good job with that. There's some definite Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Someday everyone will read that, and they will know that Gator Moon has very good voice in its characters.
Well, also I think also it's how they react to situations.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be very distinct, and so you have to move yourself completely out of whatever your natural inclination would be and say, well, how would this person react? Their first thought wouldn't be the same as this other person's first thought. And so maybe that's how, I don't know. Mm-hmm. It's a really hard thing and I think it's a hard thing to define too. People, always are commenting on a writer's voice or this voice, but you're like, well,
And there's writer's voice versus narrative voice, and it can really all get kind of overwhelming for a new writer, I find.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do you do it? How do you handle voice?
Well, at this point, I'm just trying to relate back each time I do dialogue and I have some narrative description, about what their personality traits are and what they're feeling, try to be present in that scene. And I don't know. I mean, I'm it's definitely a work in progress. I mean, I'm aware of it. I'm challenged by it for sure.
Mm-hmm. Well, you probably, each person, I think also each author or writer has a voice in addition to the characters having a voice,
Right.
And so like if, and a fun exercise to do would be like, if we both said, okay, here's the storyline, here's the character, here's the basic storyline, write, 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
And to just see the difference and see how each of the, each of us would approach it totally differently. It would just be interesting to see because we should do that sometime. We could do a little exercise.
I know. I like that idea. That'd be kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I'm really happy we read this novella, as we're going to call it, or short piece of fiction. Cleaning the Gold.
Yes.
Because I thought it was a wonderfully entertaining read, but I did learn a lot too as a writer reading very, very well written authors.
Yes, and so, as a newbie to both of the authors, I really don't think I've read. I might have read, a few books before theirs, but I don't think I've really read too many Jack Reacher. If I did, it was a long time ago, and so now it's kind of interesting. So now I want to kind of go out and look at their individual books too.
Well, and so what about the wine? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's a fun wine. I mean, it's very sweet. It's not something I'm going to have with, dinner. It's more like, just a fun out and about when you're just want something nice and cool and bubbly and fun. That's what I think.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's Seven Daughters Moscato. Mine was $15.39 at my store.
I think mine was either $12.99 or $13.99, and I can't recall. But very similar, very, very much in that same neighborhood.
Yeah. So it'd be a fun thing. It has a screw top, to take along when you go on like a picnic or something, and you just want something light and fun.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
I love it sounds like the website's really funny to look at too. So.
Yep.
The whole cat thing. So, hey, all of you MFs, we'd love to hear from you about our conversation today, about your thoughts on Lee Child and Karin Slaughter, Skittles, Moscato.
Do you like Skittles or not? Is it your favorite candy or not?
That's very big conversation. So you can find us on Facebook or Twitter. Our handle is at GOB Writers.
Yes, and you can listen next week. We're going to have our season finale where we discuss Meg Gardner's page-turning thriller, Into the Black Nowhere. So you can go ahead and get that and jump ahead if you're a fast reader.
Yeah, what a great idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And keep following us all summer on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. We will be dropping hints, not hits. That would be kind of similar to our world. But we won't be dropping hits this summer. We'll be dropping hints.
So many connotations to that.
Well, the worst thing is, now I have to say we're going to be dropping hints on our upcoming Killer Season 2.
I know, right? Oh, well. Anyway, well, thanks for listening. And that's it for today's episode of Game of Books, where we share food, wine, and mystery. Be sure to subscribe to us so you can get your food, wine, and mystery tips every Friday morning just in time for the weekend. This is Christy.
And Cathi.
Saying thanks for listening.
Bye,
everybody.